Quote, "Our first black president sits in the White House, entering his final year. In his party, a woman who would be the first female commander-in-chief builds a substantial lead. Meanwhile, the frontrunner of the opposing party plays host to white power revivalist meetings. This moment, this election, these years represent the death throes of exclusive white male power in the United States. The primary contest, while absurdist and theatrical, reflects some very real fury and violence. Black men are executed by police. A white man calls himself a warrior for the babies and kills people at a Planned Parenthood clinic. A younger white man kills 9 black churchgoers with the explanation, 'You rape our women and you're taking over our country.' The political contest projects these panicked resentments on a bigger screen. The public spectacle of this presidential election and the 2 that preceded it are inextricably linked to the racialized and gendered anger and violence we see around us. And yet, whatever their flaws, whatever their political shortcomings, their progressive dings and dents, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton represent an altered power structure and changed calculations about who in this country may lead." Unquote. That's the voice of Rebecca Traister, writing at the end of last year and looking back at the extraordinary events of 2015. It was a year in which Traister solidified her place as an indispensable observer and analyst of American politics and society. She has earned that place in the course of a writing career that now spans the better part of 2 decades. Rebecca grew up outside Philadelphia, graduated from Northwestern. Her first job, intriguingly, was as an assistant to the actor Harvey Keitel. That may or may not have been good preparation for her career in feminist journalism, which blossomed in 10 years at Salon. Her first book, about the election that featured not only Hillary Clinton, but also Sarah Palin and Michelle Obama, had a wonderful title, Big Girls Don't Cry. Just this March, Rebecca Traister published her second book, All the Single Ladies, Unmarried Women and the Rise of an Independent Nation. It promptly went on the New York Times bestseller list. The personal is political. That was a central insight of what was known almost half a century ago as women's liberation. One could also say that the political is personal, and the political is cultural, and the cultural is political. And all this comes through in Traister's writing. Her work is imbued with a strong moral compass, a respect for historical context, and an uncanny combination of reasonableness and indignation. Please join me in congratulating the winner of the 2016 Hillman Prize for Opinion and Analysis Journalism, Rebecca Traister.
Hi, I want to thank the Hillman Foundation. It's a wonderful honor to be winning this award, and it's a funny year to win it because the columns that have been recognized are from 3 different publications, and so I want to kick off by thanking my wonderful editors at the New Republic at Elle, where I have written for many years, and especially to my brilliant editor and collaborator, Lauren Kern, at my new home, New York Magazine. It's also remarkable to get this award alongside so many other honorees whose work I have drawn on so directly. Alice Kessler Harris's History of Women and Labor, and Kathy Eden's work on single mothers and single fathers and poverty. I drew on endlessly for my book about single women. And Melissa Harris Perry and I have had a long and often intense conversation about gender, race, politics, and the fraught relationship between identity and the larger progressive project that we both obsess over. It also means a lot to me personally to be getting an award from the Sidney Hillman Foundation. In 1927, Sidney Hillman and Abraham Kazan founded the Amalgamated Housing Cooperative in the Bronx. It's the oldest limited equity housing cooperative in the country. My grandparents moved in 1944. They lived there until their deaths. It is where my father was raised, and the fact that he's here tonight watching me get an award named for Sidney Hillman makes me endlessly happy. An inverse of that, perhaps, is that it is also such a meaningful award to me because I was not raised in the Amalgamated. I was raised in a predominantly white, then largely Republican suburb of Philadelphia in the 1980s, in the midst of what was a paralyzing backlash to feminism. I sometimes think that those older than I, those who came of age during the political and social foment of the 1960s and 70s, and those younger than I, who have grown up with a feminist blogosphere and Black Lives Matter and Occupy Wall Street, might not know how formative the freeze on feminism and on progressive politics more generally felt to those of us who were kids and teens and young adults as it was happening. It was morning in America, we were told by the president and by popular culture and the media, and in many cases our peers. An army of shoulder-padded women had stormed workplaces. The Cosbys were on television. All was just in the world, and our national journey to a better America was purportedly quite close to complete. To me, anyway, it felt, as a young person, that any attempt to raise one's voice in feminist disagreement was not only hopelessly out of fashion, but totally futile. So it feels like something of a miracle to me today, 3 decades later, to be winning an award like this for doing the job of expressing my feminist opinion publicly, and not only that, but doing it alongside a really robust and cacophonous crowd of colleagues who both force and inspire me to be more rigorous in my thinking about gender, race, class, identity, power, and inequity. But then comes the non-miraculous part, which is that the reason that this conversation and exchange is as robust and explosive as it is now is because it is so urgent, so grim, so scary. There is so much at stake. I'm going to echo the passage that Rick just read a little bit here, because it's at the heart of what I write about. Right now, Barack Obama is serving his 8th year in the White House. Last week, Baltimore police shot a 13-year-old with a toy BB gun, the same month as the year anniversary of Freddie Gray's death and the settlement by Cleveland police in the murder of 12-year-old Tamir Rice. We're living right now through an election in which Hillary Clinton looks increasingly likely, though I have not checked the exits from Indiana, to become the first woman nominated by a major party in the history of the United States for the presidency, and in which Purvi Patel is serving a 20-year sentence for taking abortion drugs. And in December, Anna Yoka from Tennessee was arrested for trying to administer her own abortion with a coat hanger. We have a Black president and a female frontrunner, both flawed, often vexing, but so important. Yet we do not have mandated paid family leave. Our voting rights protections have been gutted. Women earn 78 cents to the male dollar, and as I'm sure everyone here knows, that number is 63 cents for African American women and 54 for Latina women. 3 million children live on $2 a day. Texas Border Police shoot out trucks filled with immigrants going to jobs. I often think of the line that Barack Obama used in his 2008 speech about race, the line I believe he actually misquoted it slightly, the Faulkner line about the past not really being dead, not even being past. It's a line that I have used in far too many of my own columns. I think of the title of Hillary Clinton's memoir, Living History. I think of something that Jelani Cobb said last year when he accepted this award. He said, quote, "The past is said to be prologue, and sometimes it should be said that it is just as often indistinguishable from the present." This sentiment, I think, is close to the heart of what so many of us who have found ourselves surprised to have the kind of platforms we have in publishing, in progressive media, or in presidential politics. It's what we're struggling to express. It's the necessary rebuke to the lie of my youth. Our progress is not complete. Our history is not behind us. We are not at the end of a journey toward a better America. We remain terrifyingly all too near the beginning. Thank you so much to the Hillman Foundation.